1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. But I'm not hearing it in here. You hear it there?
I just heard it, Tom. I just heard it.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'm going to invite all the commissioners back to the dais, and we'll get started with our exciting program today. All right, I need well, give me just a minute. Did you just? Wow. All right, well, gavel back in. Looks like it's about 16 after. Do we have a motion to accept the proclamations?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that sounded like that was unanimous. Deletions to the consent agenda. I'll start with Commissioner Arnold.
I have none.
Okay, we have none. Commissioner Joseph,
I have none.
Commissioner Whitehurst,
I have none.
and Commissioner Taylor.
I have none.
I have no deletions to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to second. Do we have to go to public comment? Okay, let's have public comment on the consent agenda.
Okay, at this time, we will take public comment on the consent agenda. Seeing none, we will close public comment.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Additions or deletions to the regular agenda. Commissioner, we're going to try to get this fixed. Commissioner Arnold.
I have none.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, you have none. Commissioner Joseph.
I have none.
Mr. Whitehurst.
I may have an addition. I have a question for staff, and this is for both Ms. Andrews and Mr. Commando. 2 weeks ago, we were told that we would hear the millage increase for conservation during today's agenda. I notice it's not on this agenda. I've heard a rumor that Commissioner Joseph was putting pressure on staff to have it pulled so that her record of defunding the conservation fund through the LAMP program would not be exposed during that agenda item. So is there any truth to the rumor that Commissioner Joseph was putting pressure on the Office of County Attorney so that her record for trying to defund the LAMP program would not be exposed? Mr. Commando?
I had not heard that. There were still some mechanical things that need to be worked on behind the scenes, and we were working on them as late as yesterday.
Ms. Andrews, was there any truth to the rumor that Commissioner Joseph is putting pressure on your staff so that her record would not be exposed for defunding conservation funds?
No, there's no truth to that. The reason for the delay is because we have had language disagreement with the bond counsel, and so we have to straighten that out before we can present it.
Okay, all right. I'm glad to hear that that's not true. Thank you.
Order, please. We still have a meeting to go through. Okay, thank you so much. Is there anything else you have? Okay, Commissioner Taylor.
I have none.
Okay, I would like to discuss something on
So through the chair.
Keely.
So we do have a deletion from the regular agenda from the Office of County Attorney. So regular agenda item number 2, CPA SS 2025-13 Daily Place. The applicant has withdrawn that application, so we request to be deleted from the agenda.
Okay, we will delete agenda item number 2 from the agenda. Thank you. What I would really like to do, and let me get some direction from you, is I'd like to add in its place a discussion about our enclave and our response to the 686. I'd love to be able to put that on the agenda. Is that appropriate?
Yes, sir. You can always have discussion on anything at the will of the commission.
Okay. Can I get consensus to put it on, to make it agenda item number 2, or do I need to make a motion?
I'll give consensus, but I also did come prepared for that, so thank you very much for putting it on the
Good deal.
agenda.
Good deal. Okay, so we'll add a discussion of 686 as agenda item number 2. And I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion to approve?
Okay, we have a motion.
Second?
We have a second. And all in favor? All in
Aye.
favor, say aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you so much. We will go straight to public comment then.
Okay. At this time? Okay. At this time, the board will hear general public comment on matters that are not scheduled for action on today's agenda. When addressing the board, please come to one of the 3 podiums and state your name and address. Each person will be provided 3 minutes to speak. We ask that you speak directly into the microphone. Speakers will comply with the board's rules of civility and decorum. Speakers may not demand an immediate response from the board, and members of the audience will refrain from any disruptive demonstration of approval or disapproval. Finally, any speaker that would like to present materials, please utilize the center podium. Paper materials can be placed on the X for our overhead camera to display, and a laptop will be set up for any USB presentations. After presenting, please provide the materials to the staff of the clerk of the court to be entered into public record. Thank you so much. All right, who's going first?
Charlie said he wanted
Hi.
to be.
No, look,
Oh, you're going to let him?
Denver
All right,
Cook.
good morning.
Protected address, St. Johns County resident, Chair of the St. Johns County GOP. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm standing here today as the primary complainant in the 2024 fake voter guide investigation. We're all familiar with the traditional warning. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Today, this community is witnessing a textbook example of that warning. Mr. Chair, 2 seating members of this commission have been criminally charged in an election fraud scheme designed to deceive tens of thousands of voters. The majority of this very bench voted no confidence and asked for their suspension. Yet these individuals are sitting here today, unlike 2 weeks ago, refusing to resign. The reason? Pride. It is an arrogant pride that convinces an official they are above the rules and above accountability. But the true tragedy of this hubris, Mr. Chair, is the systemic destruction of faith in our local government.
Amen.
Every single day these individuals sit on this dais, public trust bleeds away. The citizens see individuals facing criminal election fraud charges, continuing to vote on county business. They lose faith in the fairness of our laws and the integrity of this chamber. Pride is actively destroying the bond between this government and its people, the people you serve. True leadership requires humility, Mr. Chair. It requires knowing when one's presence harms the community. I urge this board to continue demanding accountability, and I call on the individuals to put their pride aside, consider the devastating impact on public trust, and resign immediately today.
Thank you. Mr. Hunt. Folks, let's just go back. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but remember, if you disrupt the next speaker, we don't want to do that. So let's keep our comments quick.
Good
Mr. Hunt.
morning.
Good morning. Charlie Hunt, Mill Creek Estates. Can I get something up on the screen, please? They bought mine. Okay, obviously you've got a lot of technical issues today.
I wonder why.
We're getting you some help.
There it is. That was showing. Can we just move to the next, please? And
You want to move to the next while we figure this out?
Good morning, Sherry Badger, 2772 South Collins Avenue. Okay, there's one thing I understand. They were criminally charged. That means they conspired. Where is the Sunshine Law? Where is the FBI? Okay, because there's a lot more deeper stuff going on in this county that needs to be exposed, even with past county commissioners. It needs to be investigated. This is wrong. Where is the violation of Sunshine Act? You people out there in TV land, you need to come be aware of what's going on in this room, because it's not right. And God bless you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Michelle S. Pavlovsky. I reside at 109 Kings Quarry Lane, St. Augustine Beach, Florida. It is amazing that it took 2 years for an investigation to find out the facts beyond the suspicious mailer for the past election. Think about this. I believe everyone in this room believes the local elections should be decided and funded by local residents and our local communities. St. Johns County elections need to be run by St. Johns County residents because we know what we need as local residents. So far, there have been 4 mailers sent out to support candidates in the upcoming primary. What is interesting is that one of the candidates knew nothing about it. This candidate stated in a public forum that he had no knowledge about the flyers and who funded them. With that statement, at a separate follow-up forum that I attended, I asked the candidate if he knew anything about the flyers that were sent out and paid for by the state RPOF on his behalf. He told me that he knew nothing about it. This is consistent with the statement he made at another forum. Then who made the decision to send these flyers out on his behalf? Who is reporting the campaign expense? I asked him if anyone on his campaign team knew about it. He said no one that he knew, and everyone was clueless on who developed the flyer and who sent it out. And I received 3 of his flyers that indicated that the state RPOF paid for them. There was also a flyer for another commissioner in another district. Oh, the mailers were not sent from Tallahassee. They were mailed from Sarasota and Miami, Florida. Who is so concerned in Miami and Sarasota about the elections in St. Johns County? So now we have a ghost in the campaign somewhere. Someone who had access to develop the artistic composition of the flyer and have access to the data to produce the flyer. The cost of mailers has to be reported on anyone's campaign, but it's not been reported anywhere. It's not been reported anywhere. And the U.S. Postal Service gave me this data on what the mailers could have cost. If it was mailed to each of the voters in St. Johns County, the number, a total of 4 mailers, $234,472. If the mailers only went to Republicans, the cost was $134,409 for 4 mailers. So who is paying for the mailing and where is it reported? I could locate no reporting of this expense anywhere, okay? I asked the Postal Service for more information, but they said I had to file a Freedom of Information Act to get more information. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Commissioners. Have a great day, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you all
Oh,
set
I hope
now?
it will not take another 2 years to find out what's going on.
Mr. Hunt, are you ready?
So Charlie has deferred to
Mr.
me,
Joe.
and I just have a quick question. Joe McInerney, 1005 Blackberry Lane. Agenda item number 2, the ag enclaves, will public comment be taken
Yes.
during that item?
Of course.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Are you okay, Mr. Hunt?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Here we go. Charlie Hunt, Mill Creek Estates.
Commissioner Whitehurst.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things are being said without taking into account what the motion was about. We had a commissioner who not only violated board rules, but may have violated state statute. So there's no censure based on a disagreement over. I've voted against a lot of development. I've never been censured. You know, so it's not about development or somebody disagreeing on an agenda item. I think the motion was about concerns about a law possibly being violated. And correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Dean, but I just feel like the public comment does not jive with the motion that you made.
It's my understanding, oh, I'm sorry.
People who perpetually violate the rules, those are the people who never want the consequences for violating those rules. And what country
Order, please.
allows that to happen? It's not a place that I want to live. There are consequences when you break laws. There are consequences when you break laws. Nobody's immune from that. No one of us is immune from that. If you allow that to continue, you only invite more of that behavior. So everybody in the auditorium understands if you speed and you get pulled over by a sheriff's deputy, that's a ticket that you have to pay. There are rules in every area of our life, and this board is no different. There are board rules that must be adhered to.
Thank you, Commissioner Whitehurst. I'm going to go ahead and build on that. I think you just made it very clear, Commissioner Dean. This isn't about personalities or disagreements or even politics. This is about the law, and that's the concern. And no matter which side of the aisle you fall on, at a very basic level, we are elected by the people to uphold the law. And I think we have an obligation, a moral obligation, an ethical obligation that if we believe somebody is, even if it's one of us, not following the law, then we have to stand up. That's what our constituents elected us to do. And so thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Okay. Anyhow. Yes. Resignations, please. Resign, please. For the people who put you in the seats. Kristen Joseph, Martin Martin, and Kevin Allen. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. That was almost 3 years ago, and look at where we're at now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I think it's back over here to you.
Yep.
Sasha.
Good morning.
Sasha Martin, 133 Coastal Hollow Circle. I concur with others who have suggested that Anne Marie Evans be considered as an appointment to your board if a vacancy should occur. On several occasions when she ran for county commission in 2024, I saw firsthand and through personal conversations with her how responsive she is to questions and comments and for ideas she has had for making this county a best place to live. I believe Anne Marie would listen to residents and business owners and have the initiative to find possible positive legal solutions with her legal background. She has attended many commission meetings to witness problems and actions taken. I believe she is not afraid of challenges and the time and the hard work necessary to confront issues for the best outcome. Is there anyone else here that feels the same way? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Back over here.
Good morning.
Cheryl Fields, 360 Sweetbriar Branch Lane, St. John's. I'm coming before the board for a third time regarding a small food truck park I'm attempting to put on property I own at 609 West King Street. I wanted it on record that I have done everything the county has asked me to do. I submitted a pre-application to the Growth Management Department and met with them, at which time they told me all the reasons I could not proceed with the project, but told me to be patient because changes regarding food trucks may be coming soon. I spoke at public comment regarding what I was trying to do at the May meeting. I had someone speak on my behalf last month after the first reading of the proposed food truck changes. I was disappointed to hear that nothing in the proposed reading benefited my project. I am here this third time asking that outdoor mobile food sales along with food trucks be added to both commercial general zoning and the West Augustine overlay. I am also asking more importantly for a sit-down meeting with appropriate county staff and the West Augustine CRA regarding my project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
All right, my name is Justin Miller, 515 Girona Road. Real quick, I just want to point out that the two commissioners that are charged should immediately resign, in your own words. With that, you guys were not present this last meeting, and I just want to talk about where our current county attorney has provided that we don't have, that you guys, when you're absent, and as long as we have a quorum, that there does not need to be a vote on if they can proceed and vote remotely. This goes against, it's a little hard to see, this goes against our, the Sunshine Law Manual 2025 edition, which is a manual that the Attorney General puts out specifically on what laws need to be followed and why. And within it, it specifically says that if a local board is physically present, the participation of absent member of the telephone conference interactive is permissible when such above is due to extraordinary circumstances and the absence of the member due to schedule conflict. And then it goes on to say that that the quorum needs to then determine if it meets those legal specifications. Now, we've had our county attorney say that a few different reasons why it does not apply. Also, this is based off of the Attorney General opinion, AGO 0341. Such a circumstances is a determination that must be made in good judgment of the board. All right. Now, we've had our county attorney specifically say that it does not apply because of this right here, which was an informal decision that was made by the Attorney General office. Informal decision means that it's very limited in scope, and what it actually does is, he said it doesn't require a determination, it just requires there be a quorum. It specifically says on here, this is just about the school board and just reasserting that they do need to meet for a quorum. And then specifically, it says that they do not have to necessarily make the determination because there are state statutes which specifically within the state statutes for school boards, it basically says that that they do not, does not require an absent member to be physically unable to attend. So there's a specific carve out, and he's using that in order to say that we do not require determination. We had a recent bill that was put. This is a bill analysis that specifically says within it, they were trying to make it so it could happen, that a quorum does need to be present. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. Nancy Murphy, City of St. Augustine. I'm grateful to be here with you this morning. I was very happy to hear the proclamation that was provided recognizing Zero Suicide St. John's Day. and also the certificate of recognition for Andrew and Alan for their compassionate actions. These are examples of compassion in action, an area where we can improve upon the way that we do things going forward. And a very clear path to do that is St. Johns County working toward identifying a specific area or areas in order to become a compassionate county. In order to work with the compassionate city of St. Augustine, which has been a compassionate community for 13 years next month. It was the first compassionate community in the state of Florida, the 20th in the world. There are now over 600 compassionate communities in the world. I believe joining those ranks will have a positive impact on the county and all of its residents. I'll read an excerpt from the Charter for Compassion, whose words inspire me every day to become a more compassionate person and to discover more ways that we can collectively become more compassionate. Because the principle of compassion lies at the heart of all religious, ethical, and spiritual traditions, calling us always to treat all others as we wish to be treated ourselves. Compassion impels us to work tirelessly to alleviate the suffering of our fellow creatures, to dethrone ourselves from the center of our universe and to put another there, and to honor the inviolable sanctity of every single human, treating everybody without exception with absolute justice, equity, and respect. We urgently need to make compassion a clear, luminous, and dynamic force in our polarized world. Rooted in a principled determination to transcend selfishness, compassion can break down political, dogmatic, ideological, and religious boundaries. Born of our deep interdependence, compassion is essential to human relationships and to a fulfilled humanity. It is the path to enlightenment and indispensable to the creation of a just economy and a peaceful global community. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
You want to go here or here?
Go ahead. You can go ahead.
I'm Irvin Bullock. I live at 1808 Vista Cove Road, and I've been a member of Compassionate St. Augustine for 13 years, since it began 13 years ago. I'm also here representing CARE, which is Community Advocates for Racial Equity, and we're here a lot to talk to y'all. I've met with all of y'all, either individually or in a small group, and I want to tell you that I know you're intelligent. I know that all of you care about this county. All of you care about this county. What worries me is judgment. We've had a little scripture already quoted to us, so I'll tell you a little more. Judge not that ye be not judged, because the measure that you judge with is the measure that you will be judged with. So I'm saying to you today, if you're asked to do something that you wouldn't want done to you, don't do it. Just don't do it. That's our golden rule. That's at the basic premise of every faith that's in the Charter for Compassion. Treat other people like you want to be treated, and don't treat them like you don't want to be treated. So that's my first thing I hope to share with you. The second is, don't put our county grievances on social media, please. The vitriol and the bitterness, it's not just embarrassing, it's toxic. It's toxic to our community. So I hope we'll learn to be more transparent, talk more directly to each other, treat each other with respect and understanding. We need a lot more listening a lot more understanding and compassion, and a lot less judgment of each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Joe Ryan, 699 Standish Drive, Florida. I would like to point out what voter guides are to frame the conversation that we're having with the fake voter guides. So voter guides have two things in common, all voter guides. One is they usually have multiple candidates. Here's an example of voter guides. The other thing they have in common is here, they tell you who paid for this voter guide. Here's another one. This was from the Republican Liberty Caucus. This is from the St. John's, it says right here. This was one down here. There's one from the Trump Club. There's another one down here. Here's one from the St. Johns County Republican Executive Committee. And all these voter guides, there's one voter guide that's not like all the others, and that's this one. This is what's called the fake voter guide. As you notice, it almost looks identical. The only difference is it has different candidates on it. And the color of the elephant is reversed. And this voter guide, clearly see who sponsored it. On this one, instead of the description of who sent this voter guide, is just say, bring this to your county commissioner. And people did bring this. I was campaigning. People brought this to the polling places and were walking and voting on this voter guide. Now, the reason that it's important to disclose where it's coming from is Florida law. Florida Statute 106.143. It says right here, political paid advertisement, use of abbreviation, blah, blah, blah. Name of the candidate, the party affiliation, and the office sought, and writing candidate if applicable. And it has to have those things in order to not violate the law. Now, the thing about this voter guide, as compared to all the others, is this one is sized to fit in an envelope, which means it didn't have to go through the post office where people could actually go through it. This was stuffed by some people who knew that this did not comply to the law, and so there can be no presumption of innocence for anyone who put one of these in an envelope to send out to voters. They knew that they were violating the law when they did it, and they went ahead and did it anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Michael Rogers. I live at 308 Secret Holloway in Fruit Cove. This is the first time I've been to one of these meetings. I was encouraged by Anne Marie to attend several of them back when she was running. This has weighed heavily on me. I just got back from vacation and got up early to be here for this. I spent 6 years in the military and I was honorably discharged, and almost 30 years for the federal government with a good, clean retirement. Honor to me is one of the most important traits that anyone should have. My name means more than anything to me. I love my family, my children, my country, and my God. But my name means a lot. Honor is something that I don't feel like we have on this board right now. I actually have been trying to figure out how I would feel if I was in some of the situations that some of you are in. And I think the easiest thing that I can say is I would be embarrassed for my family. I'd be embarrassed for my constituents. I would be embarrassed especially for my children. And I would be feeling like my name was tarnished. I hope that you two will consider resigning. I know today was a wear your red. I don't always do what I'm told, but I did notice that one of the people in question did wear red, and you're not in my district, you are. But I consider my commissioner to be Anne Marie Evans, and she had it stolen from her. In my opinion, she has had that office held hostage. You have voted for development nonstop. You might have thrown off a couple of small things just so you could say you voted against some. But in my opinion, have some honor. Do the right thing. You're not representing your people when you stole the position. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, y'all. My new name is Boat Ramp Billy Hennessy, 5461 4th Street, St. Augustine, the Windswept Acres little subdivision. And I wanted to, of course, bring up the fact that the boat ramp that y'all are trying to send everybody down to, that we had this, y'all's design buddy, he said he's friends with all of y'all. I'm not going to say his name. He's probably got a slew of lawyers trying to sue me. But he did the design, and the first number on that design showed the width of the road. Now, y'all are going to make this fancy boat ramp over there at Butler West. And the road's 15 feet wide on the most dangerous part of the road that you could go down, where you go off the side into about 10 feet of water. I heard it cost us about $100 grand for this design, and luckily it got shot down. Some neighbors got with Roy Alamo, and they looked it over, and then it got shut down before somebody got killed, which is exactly what's going to happen. They're going to roll over that side, and they're going to go in that water, and they're going to drown. And you still hadn't put a sign warning that the road narrows. But you took the time to shark coat the bathroom. That was a good thing. So we'll get off of Butler West. I go down there twice a day, walk my dog. Anytime y'all want to meet me down there, I'll discuss what we can fix that needs to be fixed, like some signs about trailer parking only. Now we'll go to Palmetto Road. I am here representing the Palmetto Road Parrot Heads. And we are going to fight those two people at the end of that road tooth and nail. They do not own that section of the road. That is the right for the boaters. It's not their place to go landscape and irrigate and then come out there and give you a hard time. Now, I went down there with Channel 4 news people and met with the old man on the south side. He might be the biggest little liar I ever seen. And we caught him lying. Caught him lying bigger than, well, caught him lying like a rug. Why are y'all kissing these people's ass? I want to know why. Is it because they donate money for your reelection? Huh? It's your district. Your district, Clay. I've gone through 4 commissioners over this, and still nothing gets done. Y'all are going to have a war on your hands. And that road that you're sending people down, that is reckless endangerment. That's what a lawyer will do when they run off that road. And you'll get your butt sued. Come on, Coop.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Deborah Campbell, and I am a resident and taxpayer of St. Johns County. I'm here today to hand a petition with over 200 signatures from our neighbors. We collected these in just a few days. We are asking the board to protect our privacy and halt warrantless mass surveillance in our county. True safety and freedom go hand in hand. Private homeowners have every right to protect their property, but a major line is crossed when our local government runs a massive tracking network on public roads. Right now, we have over 160 active flock license plate readers and facial recognition tools monitoring our daily lives. Day in and day out, this corporate-owned network logs the movements of thousands of innocent St. Johns County families. This happens without a warrant, without cause, and without consent. When a system tracks innocent people 99% of the time, just to catch a tiny fraction of wrongdoers, it flips the American justice upside down. It treats everyday citizens running errands, going to church, or driving home as future suspects. Where do we draw the line? If tracking our community or commutes and indexing our movements on public roads doesn't violate our Fourth Amendment rights today, then when does it? At what point do we stop treating good citizens like criminals? On behalf of our 200 petition signers, we ask this commission to take 2 actions. 1, remove the 160 plus active flock systems operating on public property. 2, pass a local ordinance requiring public hearings and an explicit vote before any mass surveillance tech can ever be tested or bought with public funds. The Supreme Court is clear. Digital tracking requires a warrant. Continuously approving these multi-million-dollar warrantless leases knowingly exposes our county to a massive, costly lawsuit. Let's align with the Supreme Court, mandate judicial warrants, and protect our taxpayers. You already have the copies of the petition and a surveillance technology expenditure audit. We look forward to seeing this addressed out in the open. Our freedom stands on the sacrifice of heroes, but there are no graves filled by the name of Flock. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Kaylee. I live off of Graft Lane here in St. Augustine. I stand before you today to express my opposition to the growing use of Flock and similar surveillance cameras in our communities. At first glance, these cameras may seem like nothing more than a crime-fighting measure. Are they really that simple? While public safety is important, we must ask ourselves a fundamental question. How much of our freedom are we willing to sacrifice in the name of security? The Fourth Amendment guarantees our right to be free from unreasonable searches and surveillance. While driving on public roads is visible to others, there's a significant difference between being seen by a passerby and having every movement recorded, stored, and analyzed by a vast network of cameras. This concern is not merely theoretical. At the end of my road, approximately 1,000 feet from my driveway, there's a Flock camera positioned so that every time I leave my home or return to it, my vehicle is recorded and my movements are captured without any opportunity to opt out. I have questions about who controls this camera, who has access to the data, and how long that information is retained. These concerns become even more significant if the camera is owned or leased by a homeowners association. Neither I nor my neighbor, who is the closest to the camera, belong to that HOA. If a private organization is collecting information about the movements of people who are not members and who have no voice in its governance, that raises additional questions about accountability, consent, and oversight. A free society depends on citizens being able to speak, assemble, and worship without surveillance hanging over their heads. History teaches us an important lesson. Government powers often expand beyond their original purpose. A system created to catch criminals today can become a tool for monitoring ordinary citizens tomorrow. Once surveillance infrastructure is established, it is difficult to limit how it is used or who gains access to it. The question is not whether current officials can be trusted, though I wasn't here for all the rest of it. The question is not whether current officials can be trusted. The question is whether we should create systems that could be abused by future officials. Crime prevention is a worthy goal, but it cannot come at the expense of liberties that define America. As Americans, we must reject the false choice between safety and freedom. We can support effective policing while also protecting constitutional rights. Security is important, but liberty is essential. The Constitution is not an obstacle to public safety. It is the safeguard of our freedom. And any technology, including Flock, must be judged by whether it respects the rights that generations of Americans have fought to preserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Sean Carpenter, 762 Pleasant Colony Lane. I'm also the chairman of the St. Johns County Republican Liberty Caucus, and I am speaking the sentiments of my members and also my neighbors in District 2. Public office requires public confidence. Allowing the two indicted commissioners to continue exercising authority while these charges are pending undermines that confidence and sends the wrong message about accountability. The public deserves leaders whose actions are above suspicion, especially in matters involving elections. This is a betrayal of the trust of the voters of St. Johns County. We call for the immediate suspension of both commissioners pending the resolution of these charges. Suspension is not a declaration of guilt, but it's a necessary step to protect the integrity of a county government and restore the public's trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning. My name is Brian Seymour. I'm at 192 Martinique Circle up in Ponte Vedra. I don't know if we get the the camera go on? I don't know, but there we go. So this is, as a couple other speakers before me have been talking about, these are the automated license plate readers. These particular ones are from Flock Safety Systems. To this date, I've counted something like 14 within a mile of my house. I can't go anywhere. I literally cannot leave my house without being tracked by one of these things. This is a map from dflock.org showing there's approximately 192 that have been, these are just flagged by, citizen people. These aren't official numbers or anything, but so this is our county and where all the cameras are located, so you can see how surveilled we are. According to that same website, we are one of the most heavily surveilled counties in the state and in the country, with over 100 cameras per 1,000 miles of road and 7 cameras per 10,000 people. So why do we need all these cameras? Why do we need any of these cameras? These are touted as this great new law enforcement technology. I'd like to see some numbers on how many crimes have been solved, how many missing persons have been found exclusively through the use of these cameras. Things that wouldn't have been solved without the use of the cameras. Inanimate objects like cameras cannot prevent crime. They're physically incapable of preventing crime. What they can do is potentially deter crime, but then why are they so inconspicuous? They look like a light pole or a flagpole or something. Why not paint them day-glow neon orange with big flashing signs that say, you are being watched constantly all the time, don't commit crimes. I've asked a few questions of Commissioner Joseph. I haven't really gotten any answers. Maybe she doesn't know the answers, but I've submitted a sunshine law request and have been asked to pay $875 to get access to the information I'm asking for. We don't build safety through mass surveillance. We build safety through community. We build safety through trust in one another and looking out for one another, not handing our data over to some big corporate overlord. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Keith Dubay. I live at 1474 Tamaran Place, St. Johns County. I'm addressing the board on charges of voter fraud. These charges strike at heart our democratic system. While our Constitution guarantees every person the presumption of innocence and the right to due process, serving an elected office is a privilege that depends on the public's trust. Your continued service on this board undermines confidence in our county government and calls into question the integrity of the institution you were elected to serve. Every vote you cast and every decision you make will be viewed through the lenses of these serious allegations. That is unfair to this board, to your fellow commissioners, and most importantly, to the citizens of this county. This is no longer just about your legal cases. It is about preserving the credibility of the county government. The people deserve leaders who commit to public service outweighs, our commitment to public service outweighs their commitment to holding office. If you truly believe in accountability and the integrity of our elections, then you should hold yourselves the same standard you expect of everyone else. Do the honorable thing. Step down from your positions and allow this county to move forward without the cloud your indictments have placed over this board. Resigning is not a declaration of guilt. It is a recognition that no elected official is more important than the public's opinion and confidence. The people of this county deserve better. They deserve leadership they can trust. And today, I call on certain individuals to resign. If your goal is to maximize impact during public comment, delivering this calmly and deliberately is often more persuasive than raising your voice. and I'm not doing so. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Troy and Patty Straughter, 6755 Sable Palm Drive. She's my emotional support human, but she's here for that. We just want to say that we also want to join with the majority of the board who have voted no confidence in those people who have been criminally charged on our board. One thing was said by one of them at the last meeting, kind of disturbed me because I'm a fourth generation Floridian. I've been to a lot of commission meetings. I worked for a nonprofit for 20 years, so I had to go and beg at county commission a lot. So I know how it works. Number one, the person said there were only 13 or 14 people that said anything against it. I don't want to offend anybody, but look around the room. Most of the people here have this color hair. We don't have to work. We can actually come here. My friends, my family, people I know who are upset about this and want the same thing can't be here because they have to work for a living. And most commissioners, and I know everyone knows this, I know all our commissioners know that what you see here is 1% of the people who really have a dog in that hunt. And it's kind of like the things we've been receiving with all these little spins in the mail. Not quite telling the truth, but telling this, but it's a spin. It's a spin to say, well, only 13 people in the county care about what we did or what we said or asked for resignation. There's a hell of a lot more than 13 people asking for your resignation. Do what's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say, I'm in agreement. You both need to resign.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jerry Buchanan, 284 Pine Bluff Drive, District 2. Since our two criminally charged commissioners refused to step down, I'm asking that they be removed because they do not represent we the people and their constituents here. And you already had a vote of no confidence. I would think that if you had any scruples whatsoever, that you would have removed yourself and stepped down. And if by chance one of you does do the right thing, I ask that you appoint Anne Marie Evans, who was wrongfully voted out, where she really was voted in if we did not have those fraudulent cards. And by allowing the two commissioners to participate and vote, I say it's like a slap in the face to all of us because their vote does not represent us here in St. Johns County. On another note, I'm asking the commissioners to please hire an outside attorney to look at the SB 686 bill. We definitely need to fight against that bill. Our people here need to have you be in control of our decisions here in the county. And this bill definitely takes that away. And the people that were hired to let you know that this was going on have failed miserably. So in addition to speaking about an outside attorney, I'd like to say that I am extremely disappointed in our attorney, Mr. Commando, who kind of shows us that he's somewhat compromised by allowing the two commissioners to call in last week when that is against the rules, okay? I remember when one of our commissioners was sick last year, we all tried to, give her a hard time. But as a gentleman before me said,